New Zealanders call it God's own country. But this slice of heaven belongs to China, or more precisely, a private Chinese company, Shanghai Pengxin.
Paul, how often do we test the water quality?
The water's tested monthly, Terry.
Monthly.
Terry Lee oversees foreign investment for the Pengxin Group, a private multinational company owned by billionaire real estate developer Jiang Zhaobai.
And now the water quality has been greatly improved.
Oh, it's improved immensely. Even the clarity of the river's improved.
Mr. Lee, who moved to New Zealand 7 years ago, is proud of what Pengxin has achieved.
Now we have a very clear view.
For more than 2 years, 9,000 hectares of New Zealand farmland's been up for grabs, and finally an offer accepted in principle.
It's 4 years since Shanghai Pengxin paid a then record 200 million New Zealand dollars to buy the country's largest family dairy holding. It was a long and fraught process.
It took us about nearly 1 year to get approval, then we take 3 years for the court cases.
New Zealand First says the sale would be economic treason.
The sale divided the nation and sparked legal challenges by a local rival bidder and Maori groups.
It means that jobs will ultimately not be with New Zealand. The proceeds will go outside of New Zealand.
4 years and $20 million of capital investment later, Mr. Lee believes Pengxin has answered its critics.
I think we have brought a lot of benefits.
This new rotary milking shed is one of the improvements made to the 16 dairy properties now owned by Pengxin's subsidiary, Milk New Zealand. The manager of Plateau Farm, Phil Ireland, says the old milking shed was inefficient and unsafe, necessitating some inventive protective headwear.
Oh, there was bicycle helmets, there was pool noodles, there was all sorts of things, bit of towels wrapped around heads, all sorts, so everyone just decided what method of defence they had and they used that. Basically, with our dairy standards here, it was, couldn't keep milking in it.
When Pengxin bought the Crayfar farms, they were run down, debt-ridden and in the hands of receivers. There'd been a string of prosecutions for animal cruelty and the pollution of land and waterways. With Chinese capital, Phil Ireland says he's improved pasture, put in new water troughs, gates, fences and a properly lined effluent pond. He's reduced his herd from 1,000 cows to 800, while producing more milk.
The farm's obviously doing its best it's ever done now, and so that's a good thing, with a hell of a lot less cows on it.
But not everyone has embraced foreign ownership. Local dairy farmer Colin Guyton would have liked to have seen the Crayfar farms broken up and offered to New Zealanders.
I couldn't understand why it had to be sold as a block. As an individual person, I felt that there was lots of good opportunities for young New Zealanders to buy a farm. Just a feeling that, we're giving away our land, feels like you're losing control.
This whole myth that foreigners are going to come over and take over our land, take all our jobs and take all our food and the like is, we just need to have a better quality conversation than that.
Steve Carden is the Chief Executive of Landcorp, New Zealand's government-owned farming enterprise, which is Pengxin's joint venture partner.
Shanghai Pengxin own the farmland, we and the cow sheds and the buildings. We own the cows and the other infrastructure and assets on the farm. And under the joint venture arrangement, we split the profitability of that operation.
We like to work locally with people. We will learn local experience and local skills. We will not bring a lot of Chinese employees to New Zealand and Australia. Actually, we bring none of them till to now.
Shanghai Pengxin now hopes it can work with locals on a much larger scale, across 100,000 square kilometres of Australia's outback. The Chinese company has partnered with Australian Rural Capital to bid for Kidman Co, the historic cattle empire spanning 2.5% of Australia's agricultural land.
Do you think you would bring benefits to Australia?
Yes, of course. Yes. Just like what we did in New Zealand.
While Mr Lee doesn't want to talk about the bid details, he makes it clear Pengxin has a keen taste for expanding into Australian agriculture.
Of course, I enjoy Australian beef, yes. Just as I think Australian beef is one of the best in the world.
But he expects there'll be challenges ahead.
Even opponents of foreign ownership agree that the land and the cows on the old crayfire farms are greatly improved under the partnership between Shanghai Pengxin and Landcorp. But that hasn't made life any easier for the Chinese company in trying to expand its New Zealand assets.
The sale of Lochinvar represents an unprecedented opportunity to purchase...
Last year, the Chinese company offered 88 million New Zealand dollars for a prized beef and sheep property. The Overseas Investment Office approved the sale, but the government rejected it on the grounds it wasn't of sufficient national benefit. The property has since been bought by a local company. Pengxin is challenging the government decision and hoping the scenario won't be replayed in Australia.
I can't make comment on this, but I think in the long-term future, situation will be improved because people will more confident about Chinese investment.
The Mayor of Taupo doesn't need to be convinced. He says his district's economic growth is well above the national average on the back of Pengxin's investment in local farms and businesses.
We're approaching 2 billion GDP, which is for a populace of 35,000. We're pretty proud of that fact. So certainly Shanghai Pengxin will be a big part of that from their dairy revenue and their operations here.
Dairy farmer Phil Ireland says Australians shouldn't be worried about Pengxin investment if his experience is anything to go by.
If there's a local that's got the money and think it's worth buying, then buy it. If there's no local interested in it or able to afford it, well then someone else has got to buy it, so step aside and let them buy it. No use picking a sad just because it's not an Australian that's bought it.